Hello internet, and welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video, I wanted to talk about mainly three things today. I wanted to talk about the marathon controversy that happened recently. I also wanted to talk more about my experience with Expedition 33, and I also wanted to talk about my feelings and my thoughts and opinions on Andor, the Star Wars TV show. And so those are the things I wanted to talk about in this video. So yeah, man, without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So talking about Marathon first, there was actually a controversy that happened surrounding the game recently, and if you didn't hear about it, apparently one of the employees at Bungie apparently plagiarized another artist's work and used the art in the game, and so I didn't even know about this until like recently, or I actually heard about this from another streamer talking about it, and I guess I looked it up and I read like an article about it, and it talked about how the person or the employee plagiarized the artwork and everything. And it got me just thinking about, I don't know, man, like just this game in particular, what's the crazy thing is that like I don't even really like this game in particular. I don't really care about, I guess, or I'm not really I know I'm probably not gonna play this game when it comes out. Like I'm just not really interested in the game. I know it's like an extraction shooter and everything, and maybe I will try it, I don't know, but like I don't know, but apparently like they plagiarized the artwork and everything, but it made me like think about just how Sony, or I guess PlayStation, just has a bad, as of recently, seems like, with the exception of I guess Helldivers 2, because that game was successful and everything, but even with that game it had like its problems with the whole Steam, or like the whole like PC version of the game not being, or you needing a PlayStation account to play the PC version of the game and everything like that. But just with like even like Concord 2, like the way that game was brought out and everything, and how that game just failed on like every spectrum imaginable, and now with like Marathon and the troubles that it's having and everything, it just makes me like feel like, in not even talking about all the other canceled live service projects that Sony was planning as well, it just made me think about especially Bungie as a company, because Bungie's last game was Destiny 2, and I know I never really played Destiny 2. I think I played it like once or twice. I remember playing the first Destiny game when I was a kid. And I think I played that game. I didn't even really play Destiny 1. I think I played Destiny 1. Like, I think I played the beta version of, or the demo version of Destiny 1. I remember playing that as a kid, but I never really got into Destiny as a franchise or anything like that. But, and I know, I'm pretty sure people liked Destiny 2. I don't know if people like Destiny 2 more than Destiny 1, but I'm pretty sure there was a dedicated fan base to those games. And so coming off those games and now doing Marathon, it really does seem that like, because I feel like this game does need to succeed for Bungie, mainly because, I don't know, I feel like other than this, they only have Destiny 2 still, and that game's been out for a long time now, and so like they really need to prove themselves as like a game developing studio, to really put out something new and fresh and creative, and they're obviously trying to do that with Marathon, but it kind of seems like they're not able to succeed on that front. And I know apparently and I know they did like an alpha test recently too, and I heard that didn't really go well either, and so like I was hearing that maybe they were gonna delay the game, with all this controversy and bad news surrounding the game and people not really liking the alpha testing and everything like that. But it got me thinking about, I guess, Bungie as a studio and just PlayStation and Sony as a whole with the whole multiplayer games and the live service games. And it kind of just makes me think, like, I don't know, does like multiplayer and PlayStation just like not mix, or am I like crazy? I don't know, because when I feel like when it comes to PlayStation and Sony, you look at their games and most, if not all, of their successful games have come from single player story driven games. Like most of their games, like from The Last of Us to Uncharted to God of War to I'm trying to think of other games. Spider-Man, one of my favorite games, Spider-Man. That's another one. You just see the list of all the single player games that they've made and all the successful single player games that they made, and then you just look at their multiplayer like catalog of games, and you're just like, it's just not hitting the same as the single player front. And you got to ask yourself the question, like, why is it necessarily like this? And I don't even think it's necessarily PlayStation that has this problem. I feel like it's, I don't know, I feel like it's it's kind of just like a live service like problem that we have as well. I mean, we saw, you know, games like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League tried to do the whole live service type, you know, multiplayer type, you know, game. That didn't work out, because now you kind of have to think, will Marathon end up like Concord? Will Marathon come out in like the freaking player counts or like super low and nobody's playing the game, and the game gets shut down after 2 weeks? You kind of have to think of things like that, and just like, you know, will people end up losing their jobs? Or will Bungie shut down as a company if Marathon fails? Because this is like their new game, this is their new thing that they're putting all their efforts into. So if this fails, like, where do they go from here as a studio? So you kind of have to start asking questions like that. And in my opinion, I don't think, because I was hearing this game could possibly get delayed, and it could. I heard that they might be trying to rework some things in order to. I mean, I don't know. I feel like at this point, the game is so. I feel like there's not much you can do to change what the core game is and how the game looks. I mean, from an art design perspective, I like how the game looks. Other than that, I'm not really interested in like the gameplay. I know it's like an extraction shooter, but I've never really played any extraction shooters, so I don't really know what that type of game is like, to be honest. But I'm really trying to think like how this game will come out. Like, will this game be another Concord situation, or can this game actually find its player, or it's kind of like its fan base, and like actually survive as a game and succeed and thrive? And those are questions we don't really have the answers to yet, because the game's not out yet. But yeah, man, in terms of Marathon itself, I know it's supposed to come out in September. So I don't know if it'll still come out in September or not, but like, you know, let me know if you're planning on playing a Marathon. And I guess, I don't know, but yeah, man, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic of the video. Okay, so now moving on to the next thing I wanted to talk about in this video. I wanted to talk about my experience with Expedition 33. I wanted to talk about how I've been feeling about the game, just like my thoughts and opinions so far. I know I did a video of me playing, or not playing the game, but me talking about the game before, but I am more into the game now. I'm like, I think I'm like I'm practically like I put like 40 hours into the game so far. I've finished chapter 1 and 2, so I'm on chapter 3 now. I don't want to like give any specific, like if you haven't played the game, I might be talking about some spoilers. I don't want to like it's gonna be like light spoilers. I'm not gonna be talking about any like major plot threads or anything like that, but just in case you don't want to hear any of that, I would probably skip ahead to the next segment of this video if you don't want to hear any any spoilers at all in this game. But yeah, man, just talking about Expedition 33 so far in my experience, I've definitely been enjoying this game, and so I don't know, I think I would say, because I've heard a lot of people saying this, is that this game is definitely game of the year material, and I finished chapter 1 and chapter 2, and I can say with confidence that I 100% agree that this game is definitely game of the year material. Now, do I think it'll win game of the year? Right now, at least, I think it has a high chance of winning game of the year. And I feel like we're still kind of early in the years, and there's still obviously more games to come out and everything like that. But for right now, Expedition 33 is probably my game of the year right now, currently, as I speak. But that could obviously change as other games come out. Obviously, there's Doom: The Dark Ages that I still need to play, and I want to talk about that. But for right now, yeah, Expedition 33 is definitely a great game. Starting off with like the combat is super fun. It's a turn-based game, but it has parry and like dodge mechanics, and in my opinion, not in my opinion, but from all the turn-based, or I guess JRPGs that I've played, and it's only like, because I've only played Persona 3 and Metaphor, and now I'm playing Expedition 33, so this Expedition 33 makes this my third turn-based game that I've played, and I gotta say, out of all the turn-based games that I played, and it's not a lot, but out of all of them, I would say this is definitely my favorite, just from like the combat stance. There's so many different abilities and certain things that you can do in this game that are super cool. The implementation of like the dodge and parry mechanics is something that I really enjoy doing in this game. The different characters that you have in the game that have different abilities, and how the different abilities link up with other characters' different abilities to like do damage and stuff like that, is super fun. And the music in this game, there was a particular song that I remember, I think because I played it, I didn't play yesterday, but I recently, it was in the second chapter, or like near the ending of the second chapter, you were fighting a boss, and the music that they had playing during that boss, bro, like it was so it was so hype, bro. Like the music they were playing, I know it's like a French based like game, and so the music that they used in the game is like French. It's got like a French style to it, or it's got like French singers and stuff like that, and like, but like the music, like I'm gonna play a little bit of it right now, just to like just so you can see, like, hear what I'm talking about. Like, it's that good. But yeah, the gameplay, the music in the game is all like, just the music by itself is like a 10 out of 10. Like by itself, it's pretty good. Just talking about how the game, like just like the art design of the game, there are certain bosses that I were fighting in this game where I'm just like, yo, like the art design for some of these bosses are so creative and like different in like everything, and like there are some bosses where I was just like, bro, like that, like this is, I've never seen something like this in a game before, like the way this is like made and everything. But yeah, from like the art design in this game, the level designs in this game are super creative and interesting. The music is great. The gameplay is super fun. The story, I'm enjoying the story as well. Everything about this game, yeah, man, I'm just enjoying, and it's definitely, I will say, it's definitely one of my favorite games of this year. It's definitely cool to see, because I heard that this game was only made by like, I think 30 people worked on this game. I don't know if I might be wrong about that. Let me check, hold on. Yeah, around like 30 people made this game, and the fact that a small group of people like that made a game like this and it sold super well just lets you know just like the state of AAA video games today. Just like, and I'm pretty sure this game was only like $50 or $60 or something like that. So it wasn't like, you know, $70 or $80 like a lot of these games are nowadays apparently. And yeah, man, just like the fact that this was made by like a group of such a small group of people were able to create such a fun and enjoyable experience like this is super I guess hopeful in a way. Just seeing that, like, even though like a lot of these games nowadays are like up to like $80, like $70, and like some of these games just are so big in scope and everything like that, and it just like, even though they're like big in scope and like everything like that, and they put all this money into the game still fails, and like you're just left with like, well, you're obviously left with like layoffs and like studio closures and stuff like that. So like a game like this that's able to come out and be successful and is just made by like a small group of people is just a testament to say that yes, you can put all the money you want into a game. Yes, you can put all the stuff into the game, or you can make it the biggest game, or unless you're GTA 6. I mean, if you're GTA 6, then you know that's a different conversation. But like it just goes to show that like it doesn't matter like how big or small your development team is. If you have a passion, or if you have a passion for telling stories, and if you have a passion for making awesome gameplay and everything like that, your game might not be successful. Like, you know, not every game can be Expedition 33, obviously, but when you get a game like that, or you get like a game like Expedition 33, it feels kind of rare nowadays, because a lot of these games, and not every game, but like it does seem like more than not, some of these games just feel like they're not able to really capture the magic of playing a video game. I feel like nowadays, and I don't know if that really makes any sense, but like I feel like some of these games, I feel like I don't feel the passion behind the game itself. And I feel like Expedition 33 is definitely, you can feel the passion that the people behind, like the people making this game definitely had a passion for making this game, and it shows. I feel like with everything that's in this game. But yeah, man, Expedition 33 is definitely one of my favorite games of this year. Let me know if you're playing Expedition 33 and how you feel about the game and everything. But let's move on to the next topic in the video. So talking about the last topic of this video, or the last thing I wanted to talk about in this video, I wanted to talk about Andor, the latest Star Wars TV show that actually wrapped up its second to last season. And I wanted to talk about the show as a whole, and why I think, in my opinion, this is like some of the greatest Star Wars stuff that we've gotten in a very long time. Like, this show is so good. Like, it's not even a good Star Wars or it's not even a good Star Wars show, it's just a good show in general. Like, this show is so, like, it's so interesting because I feel like this show is so not Star Wars that's what makes it so good, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't focus on Jedi, it doesn't focus on lightsabers, it doesn't focus on, you know, old nostalgia, you know, things to get you excited about the what you're watching. It's just a really good show. And I gotta say, man, watching this final season, it just made me really think about just like how good Star Wars can be if you just try new things with Star Wars. Like, if you're able to like get away from, and don't get me wrong, I still enjoy Star Wars. I feel like I don't necessarily enjoy it as much as I used to, mainly because of the fan base surrounding it. I feel like sometimes can be like toxic and just like super unfun to be a part of sometimes. But I feel like Star Wars was what will always be like that thing that one of the things that made my childhood, because I just remember being a kid watching Star Wars, playing like Star Wars video games, adjacent video games, and just enjoying and just loving that universe and everything. But I feel like now, as of late, I've kind of not necessarily soured on Star Wars, but like when it comes to Star Wars, I'm very picky on what Star Wars I choose to engage with. And Andor was one of those things where I was like, okay, I don't really care about what's going, like, the only major thing I care about in Star Wars right now is Andor. And like, Andor is like one of the only major things that I cared about, because the show is just so good. The freaking writing in this show is so good. Like, I can literally talk about like the different monologues that the different characters, just characters talking in this show is so good and like impactful and like so like, oh my god, it's so it's so good. And just like, this show is so good at like portraying what it's like to be just an average person in the Star Wars universe. Like, it's so good at portraying like the everyday struggles of just the regular people in the galaxy that don't really get recognized for, you know, building the rebellion or help building the rebellion. It's so interesting to see the characters in this show and how most of them, well, I am going to talk about spoilers. So if you haven't seen Andor, don't watch this video then, because I'm just going to be talking about the show and everything. So I'm going to be talking about spoilers and everything. But it is interesting because most of the, well, not most, but most, if like some of them, for the exception for like K2SO and Cassian Andor, because you obviously know that they are in Rogue One, so you know they're not gonna die. But there are so many characters in this show that die, that just go out unceremoniously, that they're just like, they're, you know, just die. And there's some characters that just die by accident, and we don't really get to hear about their character and how they literally sacrifice their lives and everything just to build this rebellion, and they don't really get a lot of credit. Like, you don't hear about any of these characters in their original trilogy or any of the other Star Wars stories, mainly because, you know, back then they didn't know they were gonna have these characters in these different series and stuff like that. But like, you really do feel like these characters gave their lives and gave everything that they had to this cause that in return didn't really, like, you know, didn't really care that much about them, to be honest, I guess. And you really see that in the character Luthen Rael, I think is his character. He's like the main person that like really is he's one of the main people that starts the rebellion in the first place. And in the second season, or in the second season, he dies. And there's a scene with Cassian and how I guess Luthen Rael, he learned of the plans of like the Death Star, or I think he was one of the first people who learned about the plans, or learned about how the Death Star was being built. And there's a scene with Cassian, you know, telling the other, I guess, like leaders of the rebellion about the information that he learned about. And the way that they react and talk about Luthen, you would think that he didn't matter, or like, you know, he's, you know, not that important to the rebellion, even though he gave his life and he gave everything to this cause to make something like, you know, the rebellion happen in the first place, and have all these people at Yavin 4 and all these people at this place all together so they can, you know, take on the Empire. And so it's definitely, there is a quote from the show, and it's actually from the character himself talking about basically what I'm saying, essentially.
What is my sacrifice? I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them. I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see. Now, the ego that started this fight will never have a mirror or an audience or the light of gratitude. So what do I sacrifice? Everything.
But yeah, man, I definitely enjoyed Andor. It's definitely one of my favorite Star Wars TV shows. Like, it's one of my favorite TV shows, and it's one of my favorite Star Wars like things ever. Like, that's how good it is. Andor is definitely one of the best Star Wars thing or material, or like just Star Wars anything that we've gotten, I feel like, in a very long time. And or just maybe ever, I don't know, just from like a storytelling, because the way that this show is definitely more mature and is more like adult themed than any of the, I feel like, any other Star Wars project that we've ever gotten. And I feel like that's very, I feel like that is a good thing, because I feel like you do hear a lot of people say like it doesn't feel like traditional Star Wars, or it doesn't feel like, you know, it doesn't have that traditional Star Wars vibe and feel to it. And I feel like that is a good thing. Like, this show is the best thing about this show is that it's not like traditional Star Wars, is that it's able to do something different and succeed in that. And yeah, man, I really enjoy this show. I know we're not gonna get any more seasons now, because the second season was basically a lead up to Rogue One, and I do want to rewatch Rogue One because this show perfectly ties into Rogue One. So I really want to like rewatch Rogue One and kind of see how it changes things for me, because I know it'll change things for me, especially with Cassian Andor as a character. I know there are gonna be some parts of that movie that feel completely different now, that I've watched Andor now. And so yeah, man, let me know your thoughts and feelings on Andor, and if you really enjoyed the show, if you didn't like the show, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. And yeah, man, those are the things I wanted to talk about in this video, and so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here now. And so yeah, bye.